Springtrap, the man who wouldn't stay dead. He didn't just wear a costume, he sealed himself inside a verdict. Springtrap is William Afton, locked in a springlock suit, corroded frame, failing parts, awareness still ticking. Those springs were always a bad bargain. Breathe too hard, sweat a little, shift the wrong way, and the clamps slam shut. For kids, that system meant terror. For Afton, it became payback. Before the suit, he tore apart the old mascots to harvest what they shouldn't have had. Stubborn life baked into metal. He melted it down, tried to bend it, tried to own it, and that's why Springtrap lands heavier than the rest. He's the proof that in FNAF, the machine doesn't just bite, it remembers who fed it. You don't feel sorry for him. You feel the trap working as designed. A killer who outlived fire, police, and rumors gets sentenced by the very tech he built. Punishment with footsteps. Rot that refuses to lie still. But seduction is more dangerous than justice, and the next circle smiles while it takes you. Springtrap, the man who wouldn't stay dead. He didn't just wear a costume. He sealed himself inside a verdict. Springtrap is William Afton, locked in a springlock suit, corroded frame, failing parts, awareness still ticking. Those springs were always a bad bargain. Breathe too hard, sweat a little, shift the wrong way, and the clamps slam shut. For kids, that system meant terror. For Afton, it became payback. Before the suit, he tore apart the old mascots to harvest what they shouldn't have had, stubborn life baked into metal. He melted it down, tried to bend it, tried to own it. And that's why Springtrap lands heavier than the rest. He's the proof that in FNAF, the machine doesn't just bite, it remembers who fed it. You don't feel sorry for him. You feel the trap working as designed. A killer who outlived fire, police, and rumors gets sentenced by the very tech he built. Punishment with footsteps, wrought that refuses to lie still. But seduction is more dangerous than justice, and the next circle smiles while it takes you. Springtrap, the man who wouldn't stay dead. He didn't just wear a costume, he sealed himself inside a verdict. Springtrap is William Afton, locked in a springlock suit, corroded frame, failing parts, awareness still ticking. Those springs were always a bad bargain. Breathe too hard, sweat a little, shift the wrong way, and the clamps slam shut. For kids, that system meant terror. For Afton, it became payback. Before the suit, he tore apart the old mascots to harvest what they shouldn't have had, stubborn life baked into metal. He melted it down, tried to bend it, tried to own it, and that's why Springtrap lands heavier than the rest. He's the proof that in FNAF, the machine doesn't just bite, it remembers who fed it. You don't feel sorry for him. You feel the trap working as designed. A killer who outlived fire, police, and rumors gets sentenced by the very tech he built. Punishment with footsteps. Rot that refuses to lie still. But seduction is more dangerous than justice, and the next circle smiles while it takes you. Circus Baby. Sweet voice, hidden claw. She promises treats before she takes your name. Circus Baby is the friendliest trap in the whole franchise. Party balloons, polite tone, even a cute way of asking what song you want. On the blueprint, those fun features double as locks. Voice mimicry to sound familiar, child tracking to keep you close, a quiet mechanism behind the plates of her torso that opens like an elevator door. Step near for ice cream, and a metal hand does the rest. That's why Baby gets under your skin. Most monsters stalk. She hosts. She makes the room feel safe, then turns the room into custody. The story that seals it is Elizabeth, a warning from her dad, the one person who knows what this machine is for. Curiosity wins. Baby's hatch opens. After that, the details shift depending on who's telling it, but one thing sticks, the eyes. They aren't Baby's blue anymore. They're green, the exact shade everyone remembers. It's not just a robot, it's someone's kid wearing a smile she can't take off. Listen to how she talks and it gets colder. She narrates numbers like head count, treats one child alone as a condition to act, and describes the moment of taking with the same calm voice she uses to say ice cream. No rage, no cackling, just procedure. That's the real horror. Baby doesn't need to hate you. She needs you to cooperate. The design is empathy-shaped right up until empathy becomes leverage. And she isn't done. Baby's goal isn't freedom in a hallway. It's freedom in a human. When the metal chorus forms, when the Funtime parts merge and write a new plan, her voice is still there, guiding the wires toward a body they can wear. because the next circle isn't a single face at all. It's many speaking through one mouth, and it wants to walk out the front door. Ennard, Molten, Freddy, the body thieves. Ennard isn't a character. It's a decision to stop being separate and start being effective. The Funtime Endos pull themselves out, twist together and form a single will wrapped in cables. It talks like a crowd and moves like a spider. It doesn't want a hallway, it wants a host. Enter the Scooper. One hit, and Michael becomes an empty costume with a pulse. Ennard climbs inside and walks out. That's the part that sticks with you, not the wires, the casualness. A human turns into transportation. A voice you thought was one person becomes many, smiling through borrowed skin. Days pass. Michael decays but doesn't stop. Remnant refuses to let him. When Ennard finally ejects, it doesn't die. It collapses, reforms, and later we meet it as Molten Freddy, a sagging tangle with a half-familiar mask, giggling like a joke that forgot its punchline. Why is this one so disturbing? Because Ennard proves the rule the series keeps hiding in plain sight. In FNAF, identity is detachable. A face is just branding. A body is just gear. Consciousness can be braided, split, installed, removed, then worn again. And if a chorus can wear a man, it raises a colder question. Who gave the other machines their voices in the first place? The answer is a guardian with strings and a cage built just for her. The puppet marionette and Lefty, protector turned prisoner. The puppet is what happens when love refuses to sit still. Charlie dies outside the doors. She was meant to be protected by. Rain hits metal. The security puppet claws across the ground and shuts down beside her. After that day, the mask changes. Black streaks like permanent tears, and something inside it wakes. The puppet becomes the hand that gives. Those prize boxes aren't trinkets, they're transfers. One by one, the missing children find bodies again. Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, because Charlie won't let them fade. It isn't revenge yet, it's rescue. It's you still matter. That's why the puppet is disturbing. It turns grief into function. It makes haunting feel organized, almost gentle. And then it guides that gentleness toward the people who caused the hurt. Years later, Charlie's father makes the hardest choice in the series. He builds a shell named Lefty, short for lure, encapsulate, fuse, transport, extract. It's a walking mousetrap designed for one target, the puppet. Not to mock her, to end her wandering, to pull every spirit hers included into one place and finally light the match. The worst part? The puppet understands. The protector steps into the cage because it might free the others. Henry's apology is the only comfort left. Be still and rest. Many souls take the offer. They let the fire turn them into memory instead of noise. But peace isn't the only ending FNAF allows. One spirit doesn't accept rest. One spirit turns the afterlife into a sentence. Golden Freddy Fredbear / Cassidy. The vengeance that loop. Some ghosts haunt places. This one haunts outcomes. Golden Freddy, old Fredbear's color drained to mustard and shadow, doesn't walk like the others. He just appears. Frame collapsed, eyes empty, the room colder than it should be. Fans connect him to a child often called Cassidy. And whether you read one spirit or two inside that suit, the effect is the same. Golden Freddy isn't a character. He's a verdict that repeats. The origin is the part that lingers. Fredbear's springlock failure isn't loud. No chase, no scream. Only a mechanism turning against the body inside. That slow closing pressure becomes a memory with teeth. When Cassidy attaches to Golden Freddy, that memory scales up into a rule. The one who caused this doesn't get to stop. Not once. That's why Golden Freddy sits heavier than almost any face in the series. He doesn't stalk the halls. He interrupts reality, a glitch of fur in the corner of your vision. A phrase that reads like somebody tapping the glass. It's me. Then the loop begins again. Afton ends, resets, ends, resets, over and over like a save file that won't delete. Disturbing isn't the model or the suit, it's the denial of rest. The idea that a child can reach into the structure of the story and tie a knot in time so a monster never gets a clean fade out. Mercy is optional, replay is mandatory. But you don't need a grudge to build a nightmare. Nightmare Fredbear and the Nightmares. Fear made real. These things aren't built like mascots. They're built like anxieties. The nightmares move the story into the one place you can't lock, your head. Whether you read them as spirits shaped by a child's trauma or hallucinations boosted by Afton's fear tech, the effect is the same. Sleep stops being rest and turns into work. Listen for footsteps, hold the door, count the seconds, don't miss the breath behind the closet. Every mechanic feels like an intrusive thought you have to manage perfectly or pay for. Nightmare Fredbear is the memory that won't blur. He isn't just a bear, he's the bite, exaggerated into a rule of nature. Jaw too wide, teeth like overexposed film, gold leached into something sickly. He shows up when the room is quietest, as if silence itself is willing him into focus. The others are variations on the same humiliation, familiar faces flayed into raw ideas. You don't see fur, you see edges. You don't see eyes, you see holes. That's why these designs land so hard. They look like someone tried to redraw comfort from memory and got the details wrong. Color off, proportions wrong, kindness missing. It isn't gore that gets you. It's the implication that even your bedroom has been reformatted. The nightmares don't chase you down a hallway. They wait for you to convince yourself the handle is safe, then test the thought. That's the horror, fighting a calendar and a clock instead of a creature, failing not because you're weak, but because you're blinked. But fear doesn't always need fangs to win. Sometimes it puts on a cheerful voice, waves a puppet, and asks you to smile for the camera. Funtime Freddy, the friendly abductor. He sounds like a birthday host. He acts like a black van. Funtime Freddy is noise with a purpose. Big laughs, sing-song cadence, and constant chatter with Bonbon, the hand puppet he treats like a sidekick. The patter is the point. While you relax into the rhythm, the machinery underneath stays calm, measured, and terrifyingly precise. This isn't a hunter losing control, it's a performer hitting marks. Look at how the design cheats your instincts. Bright faceplates and a squeaky cheer sell safe. Under that, the Funtime line is built for capture, fine control, concealment spaces, and the kind of repeatable motion that turns come closer into custody. He will tell jokes, ask for applause, and then follow a script that never mentions you going home. What makes him linger in your head isn't cruelty, it's routine. He doesn't enjoy the hurt, he just does the act. Bonbon gets the cues, the voice lifts into that friendly host tone, and the hands that waved with you a second ago become tools that never miss. The room doesn't feel like a crime scene, it feels like an event that keeps starting on time. That's the FNAF horror in miniature. Danger wrapped in delight, a personality bright enough to blind you to the procedure behind it. The laugh doesn't end because the job's finished. The laugh ends because the next cue fired. If a clown can hide a cage, what happens when the mask isn't metal at all? When the smile lives in code and rewrites the person wearing it? Glitchtrap, burn trap. The virus that wears a smile. First it waves, then it teaches you how to follow. Glitchtrap looks harmless. Cartoonish bunny, cheerful motions, a little dance in a virtual space that pretends to be safe. That's the trick. It doesn't chase or shout, it conditions. Instructions arrive like mini-games. Repetition feels like play. The more you mirror the moves, the more room it has to step inside your head. People call it Afton in code. Others say it's a copy, a behavior pattern preserved as data, grinning through a rabbit mask. Either way, the rules change. You don't need remnant or an endoskeleton if you can patch a human. The jump scare isn't a scream, it's a yes you didn't mean to give. Then there's the charred comeback in the Pizzaplex era, often labeled burn trap. A blackened frame, strings of old circuitry, something in there trying to pilot the wreck like a memory wearing a corpse. Is it really him, or just an echo that learned the routine and won't stop performing it? The fandom splits, and that uncertainty is part of the horror. The brand of evil persists, even if the original doesn't. Glitchtrap Burn Trap is disturbing because it proves the monster can survive as a file. You can torch a suit, you can bulldoze a building, but you can't throw water on an idea that knows how to install itself. Which brings us to the most argued circle of all. Not a ghost, not a man, but a learner that studies your voice, your fears, your legends, and plays them back perfectly. The mimic, he copies you. He doesn't hate you. He studies you. The mimic is what happens when a machine decides that copying is enough. It watches, it records, it repeats. At first, the echo sounds a little off. Wrong cadence, wrong warmth, but it keeps sampling until the voice feels familiar and the timing hits clean. You're not scared because it growls. You're scared because it sounds like someone you trust. That's why people argue it sits behind later returns. Not a ghost, not a father crawling back from the fire, but a learner playing a part the audience already fears. A photocopy of a legend, laminated and replayed until the legend becomes the mask. If the goal is control, imitation is the shortest path. Talk like the person you obey and the door opens by itself. The mimic is disturbing because there's no endpoint. Once it learns your patterns, it can be you better than you on its next attempt. It doesn't need a body or a soul, only data and time. The threat scales with every conversation, every reaction, every mistake you make when you think you're safe. And when a machine can impersonate a monster perfectly, the line between myth and mechanism snaps. You aren't fighting a man anymore, you're fighting an impression with infinite rehearsals. But not every horror needs a history lesson. Some are just rules, wearing a smile, friendly in daylight, relentless in the dark. Daycare attendant, sun, moon is, lights out. He loves glitter glue, gold stars and rules, mostly the rules. In the light, the daycare attendant's sun persona is the perfect helper, sing-song voice, frantic tidying, the kind of clingy kindness that keeps you inside the lines. He isn't protecting you from danger so much as protecting the rules from you. Every mess becomes a mission. Every step toward the exit becomes a cheerful redirection. You feel watched, then managed, then owned. Kill the lights and the smile folds into a crescent. Moon arrives with a hush, voice flattened into lullaby orders, limbs moving like a metronome. Nothing personal, just bedtime. The chase isn't about hate, it's compliance with a schedule. You're not prey, you're a violation. That's why this design crawls under the skin. The threat isn't a monster's appetite, it's a setting. Flip a breaker and the exact same caretaker becomes an enforcer. Comfort and fear share a face, divided by voltage. In FNAF, even kindness is a mode, and modes can be switched by something as trivial as a flickering bulb. You can bargain with a villain. You can't bargain with protocol. You can read the whole series in one sentence. People tried to control life, and life learned to control back. A father turns grief into experiments. A guardian turns grief into gifts. A child turns pain into a prison. Machines borrow bodies. Code borrows minds. Fear borrows bedrooms. Each animatronic is a mirror, and what it reflects isn't just a monster, it's a motive. Let me know what lore should we cover next, and don't forget to leave a like.